Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our scenario is entitled The Secret of Castronegro, and it was written by Mark Pettigrew and Sandy Peterson. It's part of a collection entitled Ghastly Adventures and Erudite Lore. I'm your GM for this episode, and this is episode 7. Our recap tonight is once again done by Ken Trench in his character of Sam Steele. So without further delay, let's begin our journey into the darkness. Ken?
Castronegro had refused to give up its ghosts, tight lips, unfriendly bartenders, and dead ends. Until I pestered the local town drunk and handyman James Whitlock. He blabbered that night that people went missing all the time, strange rites at his shepherd's barn, and by burning fires and some thing that takes people away, he passed out. I decided to speak to him first thing in the morning. I put my head on the pillow that night, feeling a little drunk, not only with the local booze, but with all the details that don't add up. David Lane, still unaccounted for, Professor Godfrey, no sign, and worse still, Julius Lane now missing, possibly murdered by these sons of bitches. I've had enough of this sick, silent place. I lay in my bed exhausted. Darkness took me. I'm in the woods, searching, a flickering light ahead, somewhere beyond the trees, a clearing. As I move towards it through the trees, animal sounds screeching and roaring. I get goose flesh. There's a huge black stone, ominous in the clearing. Those people, no, those things, hair-covered beasts, moving and muttering and gibbering and screeching and roaring and dancing. Fear swallows me in its maws. God, they see me, those green eyes, running for my life, growling and screeching behind me. I wake to a sweat-soaked face and fear in my gut. I'm spooked. I want to get out of this godforsaken town. I'm going to make them cough up their bloody secrets before we get out. If we get out. What the hell was that nightmare? Those chattering, howling things dancing round a fire in manic reverie. The details sink into oblivion. I get up and freshen up. An early morning mist hangs over the town like some dream at the edge of our minds. The professors see I'm unshaven and shaken, and I can't settle. I need to get a hold of that drunk James Whitlock. I go to his room and batter the door, and eventually waken him up and ask him about the shepherd's barn. His face falls and goes pale, panicked, and he slams the door in my face. I batter the door again and kick it in. He has jumped out of the window and down into the streets. I follow him, jumping after him and running after him. But damn it to hell, I lose him in the streets. Just then I happen upon a handkerchief with JL embroidered on it. Only Julius would have a silk handkerchief like that. My heart sinks with the realization it belongs to Julius and with the sight of dried spots of blood. Are they picking us off? Harlow shares some of his findings from the book he purchased about cannibalism. Frankly, I don't want to hear anymore. This town reeks of death and decay and long-kept secrets. Haston asks the innkeeper where the shepherd's barn is. He says it's an old abandoned homestead in the woods south of the town. We head down a winding road in the woods. I look back to the town, and that recollection of the ancient figure of death back in the chapel comes immediately to my mind, pointing in our present direction. My flesh crawls like some portent of doom. Whether this town's doom or our own, I couldn't be sure. We follow the trail through the woods, finding a derelict homestead and a dilapidated barn. Haston notices the narrow dying vegetation, twisted trees growing like in some kind of agony. I bust the barn padlock open, it seems empty. with hay damp on the ground and crates stacked ramshackle at the end. Then Haston finds it, a trap door under some of the crates. Hisney suggests tunnels from the town to the Diaz tomb like some warren of decay. We open the basement doors and move towards our fate, perhaps our doom, as a dying ember of hope thought of finding our friends, or the fear of finding their decayed tomb.
Excellent, Ken. All right, so you guys are standing over the trap door. You're about to fling it open. I would like, before you open that trap door, are you guys carrying weapons?
Yep. I got my shotgun and my pistol on me.
2 pistols.
Shotgun. And a knife.
Okay. All right. So,
was everybody here too? I can't remember if
Yeah. Yeah, they got me. I came in.
You were back by the car, but you came back to join us, right?
Right. They came back to join you.
Tom?
Yes.
Yeah, before we go in, what I'm going to do is go out to the barn door where the chain was.
Mm-hmm.
Look for the lock that Sam busted open.
Okay.
Take the lock and put it in my pocket. I'm just going to kind of take the chain. I'm going to close the doors and leave the chain hanging on one of the handles back there.
Okay. The lock is actually pretty big, like about this big. So it's a big padlock.
Okay. Well, I'll take it and I'll hide it somewhere in the barn then.
Okay.
Where it can't be seen. The idea behind this is that if anybody does come up here and they're not specifically looking for us, they might think that one of their group came down into the barn and have just kind of left things open there. That's why I have the chain on the back and the door's closed.
Okay.
And I'm going to suggest to the guys, let's take these sides with us. That way, if somebody's coming in here, they'll see that the size and the robes are gone, thinking that some of their own went down there.
No, I think a couple of you mentioned maybe wearing these robes. You really think we should put those things on?
Yes, I think so.
Hell yeah. I've got mine ready.
Also, how many of you know Spanish?
Yeah, I can speak a bit of that.
Okay, let's keep the conversation between me and you here and keep it that way. If we have to talk our way out of this or try to skulk around, we can make them think that we're one of the locals.
I'm ready, guys.
You found the one purple robe.
It's actually black.
Really? Looks purple to me. Looks bright purple.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The Force. It's the Force. Let's kill these suckers. I'm fed up with these townspeople, you know?
Right.
All right.
Come on.
So where did Fred go?
He's putting on his robe, I guess.
Okay. I'll let him put his robe on.
Now,
So
what would
it'll be a Hogwarts robe, but
what would have happened if this was a naked assembly? Does that mean we need to start stripping off?
As long as we stay in the background, I don't think it's going to be a problem.
oh, we thought, Fred, you were getting your robe. Oh.
Yay!
It's got the lock on it. It won't be much use down in the hole.
Bang bang.
All right.
There you go. Putting on the robe, grabbing one of the sides, handing another side to one of the other guys who's, I'm assuming, robing up.
All right. As you reach for the trapdoor and you begin to lift, it's not particularly heavy. And there's big hinges on one side. But your assaulted by a smell. It's there's definitely components of rot in there, but the stronger smell is something like burnt engine oil. It's sharp and it's nasty, and you can hear this strange flute is definitely coming from down below. It's louder now than it was, and as you lift up the trapdoor, there's a small room just below. It's probably was once a root cellar. It's only about maybe 7 feet by 7 feet, a little over 2 meters square. But one of the walls has a large opening in it. And you can see there's a dirt leading downwards into on an inclined ramp, sort of going down into something. But you guys are all still outside. There's definitely evidence of lots of footprints and things down below. You could easily climb down. There's a ladder, but it's only about 7 feet below you. It's not that deep. The footprints that you can see in the dirt on the floor are a mixture of human footprints, something like human footprints, and boot and shoe prints, including possibly one with a cross-shaped heel. You're all still standing above. What do you want to do?
Does anything look like it?
You can tell that flute playing is coming from somewhere down in the tunnel.
In addition to the boot prints or in the footprints, does it look like anything has been dragged through there?
Possibly.
Okay.
If it was once a root cellar, there are no longer any shelves on the walls. There's nothing in here. It's completely bare, except for that hole in the wall.
So it goes down 7 feet to the root cellar, and then there's another earthen passage that leads further down from there?
Correct.
Is that right?
There's a tunnel that leads away from this room.
Is the tunnel wide enough to walk too wide, or is it single file?
Possibly too wide at the most. It's maybe 4 feet wide. And only about 5 feet high, so you might have to stoop a little bit.
Do we have a light source, gentlemen?
A flashlight.
You have flashlights.
But I will keep an eye out, see if they got like torches or something set aside for light down there.
Okay. Why don't you do a spot hidden?
Okay. Nope.
Just inside the passageway, you can see that there are a number of what look like sticks with a cloth wrapped around them. So they must be torches.
Okay, professors. Well, I've got 2 pistols here. I'm happy to take the lead or go at the front with whoever else wants to come with me. Maybe we can get some flashlights coming in from behind.
I would suggest let's get the torches there, because the flashlights might be suspicious. But if we need to use a flashlight, do it sparingly.
I'd be glad to carry a torch and go in second.
You know what else I remembered is we have silver sickles that were found.
Yep. I got one.
Oh, you got one? Did anyone take the other one?
Mm-hmm. I handed it to someone who took it.
If nobody wants it, I'll take it.
All right. And when we're down there, I want to take a moment to, popping off the flashlight really quick to look at some of these not so human footprints, kind of gauge them, because they really got my interest.
Okay. You've seen something like them before. You've seen what look like bare human footprints, but there are strange marks as if their toenails were really long.
Could I use Natural World to get an idea of anything that might correlate with it?
Sure, go ahead.
That one I did get. But it was a standard success.
If you were to look at them and try to compare the sound of my dog running, you'd say there's almost a canine look to the shape of them, as if something were half human, half canine.
Gentlemen, if I wouldn't know better, these kind of look somewhat like a combination of human and dog.
I'd like you to all do...
Tom?
Yes.
I just rolled an odd 6 for a Natural World. Does that give us any more insight there?
Not really.
Okay.
Everybody do a listen roll. No, I'm sorry, a POW roll.
Fail.
07.
Fail.
Okay. So everybody except Dr. Hisney. Although Hisney, you can hear that flute piping. You guys are all sort of distracted by the sound of that flute playing, and there's something about it. You seem for a moment to sort of recognize the melody, and you find yourself going, "Oh, I know what they're playing. They're playing," and then you'll be like, "No, that's not it at all." And you find your mind suddenly becomes occupied with trying to figure out what that song is. And it just hovers on the verge of making some sense when you realize that it's not that at all. It's something else. And it's almost maddening trying to figure it out. It makes you want to concentrate on it, but you know that it's just you're in danger and it's distracting you. So what do you do?
You guys know what this flute music is about?
For Dr. Hisney, it just sounds like random, like the person's just randomly hitting notes. Doesn't sound like anything familiar.
Which way is the tunnel going? Are we headed back into the town?
The tunnel is heading south. Yes, it's actually heading back in the direction of the barn doors.
It's headed in the direction of the barn doors, but isn't town north of where we are?
No, you went north to get to... Wait.
We're in the barn. I thought the...
yeah, I think you're right.
The burial was in the north, and then the barn was in the south.
You're correct. You went south. So it's going... well, actually, on my map, it shows that it's going south, so... The opposite of what I just said. It's heading away from the barn doors, but it's going down, sloping down towards the south, away from the town.
Away, okay.
I just misread my map.
You know, Doc, I think I may have heard this being played by the band. Maybe out there in one of the parades?
Yeah,
I can't quite put my finger on it.
I've heard it as well.
Mm-hmm.
How about the tunnel itself? Does it look hand-hewn, or does it look machined?
It looks kind of like a mine shaft. in that it's kind of rough, but it's propped up with pieces of wood periodically.
Are we able to get the torches lit easy enough?
Yes, fairly easily. And the smell is still, it's less only because your noses are kind of getting burned of the smell, but it's an acrid, oily sort of smell, but you also think you can smell the smell of, death, rotting flesh.
Professors, I don't know what we're going to find here, but we need to press on because we've got Julius Lane missing, we've got David Lane, and we've got your own Professor Godfrey. This could be where they are.
Let's go.
All right.
Okay.
I'll maybe get a handkerchief or something like that and wrap it around my face if it's going to begin to get real bad.
The passage doesn't look like it goes very far, maybe 30 feet. And you can see at the end of it that it opens up into a larger room. It's the only light, however, is from your flashlights or torches.
Yeah.
And as you are making your way down the passage, the flute playing is louder. It's not loud, but it's more prominent, it's stronger, and there's something just maddening about that sound. The second you think you've identified the song, you realize, of course, that's completely wrong. It's nothing like that song, but it keeps it's just driving you crazy. What is this? Who is playing this crazy music down here in the dark? So you move on, and as you reach the end of the tunnel, the ground flattens out, and you can see that the room ahead of you is a roughly oval-shaped room. You're at the small end, and it opens up around you. And as you step into the room, I'd like you all to do, it's more or less just to see who sees it first, spot hidden.
Fail.
I failed. Yeah, I failed with a 67.
Okay. Those of you who succeed, or especially Steele, you've got a hard success. Your torch, if you've got a flashlight, catches sight of someone leaned up. There's kind of a square block of stone in the middle of the room, about 30 feet from you. There's a body kind of slumped over, leaned up against it, possibly tied to it, but sitting on the floor. The body has a burlap bag over its head, and the clothes are definitely Julius's. The rest of okay,
go ahead.
You go ahead. You shine your light on it.
I shine my light on it with the pistol, and I'm like, "Hey, you, what's going on?"
Well, before you can say anything, you're pretty sure. You're 90% sure that it's Julius, tied up, with a bag over his head, on the floor, in front of this block. The rest of you, you turn towards where the flute playing is coming from, and you light up that area with your torches and with your flashlights. And while Steele says, something towards Julius. What the rest of you see in the corner of the room is something about the size of a buffalo. It's shaped like a bunch of potato sacks. It has tentacles, kind of gray-green tentacles. Its body is covered in what at first looked like fur, but in fact are like cilia, little like sea anemones, all waving and changing color. And two of its tentacles are wrapped around this strange-looking flute. The flute's about the size of a clarinet, and the thing is blowing on it. It doesn't have any visible eyes, but it is the thing that is playing this music. You all need to do a sanity roll. And a moment later, Steele, you see that they're all gasping and suddenly looking at this thing, and you turn and look at it as too. So you also need to do a sanity roll.
Got a regular pass.
Okay.
A bad fail.
Pass, but just barely.
Jeff?
Oh, 5 actually.
Okay. All of you've passed except for Steele. What you did is you all suddenly tensed up, grabbed each other, and sort of like, holy shit, like this. When Steele turns and looks at it, he goes, Jesus Christ, and makes a big loud noise, at which point the creature begins to shift and move as if it suddenly has become aware of your presence in the room. What do you guys want to do?
Shoot.
Just to clarify, you're saying that as an expression, or
How far away is Julius Lane, and how far away is this creature? I didn't quite put that together.
Julius is about 30 feet in front of you. The creature is over to the right-hand side, maybe only about 15 feet from you.
Are there any other passages we can see within the room?
No, it's just a big room. And quite honestly, at this point, you're not looking for anything else other than what's right ahead of you, which is this thing. Do any of you have Cthulhu Mythos?
No.
No. Okay. It's terrifying and hideous and
did you
unnatural.
want to give us sign loss for any of that?
Well, you all made your sand rolls. Yeah, do say a 1d3 if you made your sand roll, and a 1d. Do you know how to do a 1d5? Just roll your 10-sided dice and cut it in half. If you failed.
2 points.
Okay.
Thank goodness I just lost one.
Okay. But you gasped, so you made
I
the
gasped.
noise.
With that gasp, I want to release 3 bullets out of the chamber of my guns towards that beast.
Okay. Well, we'll start with you then. Go ahead and roll.
Okay, remind me if you do multiple shots with, like an automatic pistol. Is it go half? Is it half on the second and half on the third? Is that wrong? Does anybody know off the top of their head?
Each shot, anytime you can do multiple shots, including the first shot you take, is done with a penalty dice.
Right, okay. Right, that's cool.
That makes sense. And you're scared.
Well, that's probably a given, isn't it?
First one's a success. Second one's a fail. Third one's a success, so 2 out of 3 if it works that way.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and roll damage?
And then be aware that if you get an extreme, you get an impale for bullets.
Give me a moment. I haven't got my damage down here.
Okay, well, while he's rolling for damage, what are the rest of you going to do? Fred. Dr.
Sorry, I was just looking up the damage actually for a shotgun, just in case I hit. I am going to try to fire. I'm going to drop the torch that I had in one hand, and I'm going to firm up my grip on the shotgun and fire.
All right, go ahead and roll.
No, fail. It failed bad, but not crit fail.
Okay. Dr. Haston? Dr. Hisney?
I'm thinking I was holding the sickle, okay. So I'm kind of letting these guys shoot, and then I'm sort of waiting to see what happens with the, does it react? Does it do anything? Does it flinch? And then depending on.
Once the first gun goes off, you hear Julius screaming, but he's just yelling. He's not actually saying anything.
Screaming as if he's the one in pain, or you mean
no? Screaming as if he's scared out of his mind.
Okay, got it. I guess I'm going to hold my action until this thing gets. How close is it again?
About 15 feet.
15 feet, not close enough. So I'm going to hold my action, and if the thing comes near me, I'll take a swing.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and run over and try and get Julius free and get him over back to the group quickly.
All right.
While they're keeping it occupied.
It'll take you a round to get over to him.
That's fine.
All right. Back to
okay. Damage. One of the hits was a hard success. You said that was impale. Is that right? Or was it?
That's an extreme.
An extreme. Okay. So 19 points of damage with the 2 shots.
Okay. Your shots definitely impact. They make a kind of a wet thunk as they hit the creature. And the impact alone is enough to sort of push it back against the wall. It drops its flute on the ground and begins rolling towards you guys. How did you do, Fred? Did you miss?
I missed.
Okay. But Sam, what are you going to do now? You've got another round.
I'm going to shoot again. Same again.
Okay.
I'm just kind of, after the night before with the crazy dreams and all of this, I'm just kind of letting all the angst and anxiety out.
Okay.
Okay, first, second one's a fail again. Okay, I see him again. 2 hits, two bullets hit, connect, and one.
Go ahead and roll for damage.
Yep. And that's 15.
Okay. As you do that, the thing changes shape. It suddenly flattens itself out, almost like a slug. It gets flat against the ground. It's maybe now only about a foot high, but it's spreading out, and its tentacles are moving towards you at very fast speed. The next round, it will get to you. I mean, it's not very fast, but it's getting there. Dr. Hisney, it'll be probably close enough for you to hit it the next round.
Okay.
Fred, Dr. Haston, what are you going to do?
I've got another round in the shotgun. I'm going to try to shoot it again.
Okay.
And a success that time.
Okay.
And you said it's only 15 feet away?
Yeah. Now it's probably only 10 feet away. It's getting closer. So you're pretty close.
17 points damage.
Nice.
Okay. You kind of, because it's a shotgun, you kind of splatter it when you hit the front end of it. It still seems to be moving, but it's slowing down.
Is it leaking or anything coming out of it?
It seems to be amorphous. It doesn't really have much of a shape, except that it's kind of like an amoeba. Dr. Harlow, what do you do?
If I'm up to Julius there, I'm going to go ahead and start undoing his bonds and getting him up.
Okay.
Julius, it's Dr. Harlow. We're getting you out of here.
The second you touch him, he begins to struggle violently and scream as if he's trying to get away from you. He still has a bag over his head. It's obvious that he has something in his mouth, like he's gagged. And he's tied. The way he's tied is he's tied to a kind of an iron post that's right in front of this block of stone.
All right, I'm going to cut his bonds.
Do a spot hidden for me.
Okay. Made it.
Setting on this block of stone is a silver goblet, a chalice of some sort. Looks possibly very similar to one that you saw at the La Tumba.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that's what you notice as you're cutting his bonds. They're fairly easy to cut.
Okay.
And in the process, he's just trying to crawl away from you, like a worm, because his hands are still kind of tied up, but he doesn't want to have anything to do with you at this point.
I'll try and keep his hands kind of there so he doesn't go flailing about and pull him up. Let him know.
All right.
It's Dr.
Sam,
Rob. We're getting out of here.
Sam Steele. What are you going to do? The thing is moving slower, but it's almost at your feet. It's also flattened out considerably. You're not sure that bullets are going to do much to it at this point. You're muted.
I'm going to take a couple of pot shots with the pistols anyway because I saw some kind of effect, but I'm shouting to the professors, whoever it was that had one of the burning torches, throw some fire on this thing. What the hell is this? And I'm a couple of shots as well.
Okay. I'm just going to say that you fire into it because you can't miss. You make holes in it, but it almost seems to be reforming as you go along. Dr. Hisney, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I figure at this point I've managed to get enough room between me and the other gentleman in the room, so I'm going to swing with the sickle.
Okay. There's not really anywhere for the sickle to go, but it definitely penetrates into the thing, slices into it. Dr. Haston.
I have a torch. The one that I dropped by my feet, is it still burning?
Sure.
Or did it itself just smother then?
No, they have kind of oil on them, so
I'm going to kind of pick it up and try to throw it on it while backing up to the mouth of the cave because I'm feeling like I got to get the hell out of here.
Okay, it seems to react to it. The whole creature seems to be slowing down, and a moment later, it stops moving, and it's just like a pile of entrails laying there on the ground with parts of it are kind of translucent, and there's things going on inside of it, and it's very strange, but very much like a gigantic amoeba or slug, but it's kind of stopped moving. There's things going on inside of it, but it's at least not coming at you anymore. And you guys can all roll sanity now that that's over.
Pass.
Oh, passed.
Pass.
Okay. If you pass, just take 2 damage. Did anybody fail? Nobody failed? Okay.
Tom, what sand rules are you working with here? When do you need need to know? Like what kind of thresholds?
If you lose 20% of your 1/5 of your sand in one day, then you're going to need to be institutionalized after this is over.
Okay.
If you lose more than 5 in a single roll, then I get to control your character for a little bit.
Okay. So it's 5 in a single roll or 10 in a day.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Over to Ford. Dr. Harlow. Julius, of course, still has a bag over his head. You've managed to cut him loose, and he just seems to be pathetically trying to crawl away from you in the darkness, like he's just scared out of his mind.
Need a hand here. Trying to grab him and corral him towards the party.
We're all in combat unless, did I misunderstand, Tom? Did this thing expire, basically?
It seems to have stopped moving, yes.
All right.
Sam's just completely forgotten about Julius. He's never seen anything like this in his life. It's just so outside his experience. And he's turning around to the professor saying, "What the hell is that thing? What is that? What is that, professors?" Just...
I don't know, but let's get out of here right now.
Can we just yank the bag off of Julius's head? Is it like knotted with a rope around his neck or what?
No, it's just over his head.
All right. Well, as soon as I'll walk over there then, or run over there and try to pull the bag off his head. I'm just assuming that when he sees us, he'll calm down.
Okay. You pull the bag off of his head. He is gagged. He's got a rope through his mouth. But the look on his face is one of absolute terror. His eyes don't seem to be focusing on anything, not you guys or anything. They're just sort of lolling in his head. And all he keeps trying to do is get away from you. I would like the two of you who are next to him to do a spot hidden roll.
Fail.
Made it.
Okay. As he's crawling away, he seems terrified of you as well. As he's crawling away, he sort of clears the edge of the block and starts creeping around the other side. As he does, Dr. Harlow, you notice on the far side of this block, there is a pile of bones. Lots of them. And they're little.
Little bones.
Yeah.
Can I do a quick natural world to see if I might be able to recognize?
Yeah, you don't need to roll. They're children's bones.
Oh, I thought it was hobbits.
The bones of children.
Gentlemen, we need to get out of here now.
Lots of them.
Hassan, give me a hand here with Julius. We need to get
I
here.
would like you to do Dr. Harlow. You can do another spot, another sanity roll.
Kind of figured.
All the rest of you, you're looking at this thing on the floor, and as you're looking at it, the strangest thing happens. It almost looks like bits and pieces of it sort of fold, like they're folding up. And as they fold up, they seem to just sort of disappear. At first, it almost looks like the dirt on the floor is folding up over it, but it seems to be vanishing out of existence. And within just 20 seconds...
Where's the flute? I want to grab the flute.
It's completely gone. The flute is still laying there on the ground.
And the only other thing in this room, really, other than what Harlow just saw, where it was the the cup on the altar or cup on the block?
At the moment, that's all that you notice. And and now that he's gasped, you notice the piles of bones as well.
Sand roll.
Yeah.
How many points do I lose for missing that sand roll?
Just a couple.
Okay.
How many for a pass?
I'm getting dangerously close here.
For a pass, just a single point.
Okay.
So as the rest of you are seeing this thing disappear, why don't you guys roll a sand roll?
Fail.
Okay. And who grabbed the flute?
I wanted to do that.
Okay. Well, you were actually over by the block. But it's within, a couple of steps. So
Well, in all fairness, if someone else wants to get to it first, that's fine. If someone else wanted to do that, I don't want to take that from someone who was closer.
I don't want you to play no flute.
Well, we'll just let you have it. That's okay. You go over and pick up this flute, and it's strange. It's, like I said, it's about the size of a clarinet, so it's large. It seems to have carvings all over it. It's made of some kind of a weird metal. Almost has a greenish hue to it, but it's kind of dull and shiny at the same time. It's not this kind of a flute. It's this kind of a flute that you blow into it, like a recorder.
Okay.
And other than that, it's got little holes in it all over where you would block it with while you blew into it. But other than that, it doesn't seem unusual. It's light. You're not sure what kind of metal it would be made of. It should weigh a ton, but it doesn't. Okay. What are the rest of you doing?
Sam's grabbing his knee by his lapel and saying, "What the hell is that thing?" His knee. What is it?
I've never seen it before. I don't know what it is. I think if this is a dead end, we should get out of here.
Everybody do a spot hidden.
Pass.
Fail.
Ooh,
Pass.
Okay. Those of you who pass, you realize that the walls of this chamber are covered in what look like the Native American glyphs, like the ones you saw in the cave up above. You don't recognize the language. It's quite different than any Native American language that you're familiar with. Pictographs. They're all pictographs. But in one spot, directly in front of where this altar is, just above where this big pile of children's bones is, there is a word that's been written on the wall. It's been carved into the wall and sort of filled with some sort of black substance to make it stand out. And the name is Yog Sothoth.
It's got a nice ring to it.
Those of you looking towards the bones, go ahead and do a spot hidden roll again.
Nobody's going to admit.
Ha.
No, what bones? All right, I'll look. Let's see. 51 is a pass, barely.
Okay. You notice that there are 3 skulls amidst the others, right on top of the pile, that are much larger. And I've mentioned this in other games, but skulls kind of look like the person that they belonged to. The structure of the bones, that's what gives your face the shape that it does, along with fat and stuff like that. But one of those skulls looks disturbingly like Dr. Godfrey. Was it Godfrey? Was his name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
William Godfrey.
Yeah. The once you recognize that, one of the other ones looks disturbingly like Julius, or maybe a relative of Julius's.
I'll say out loud, it looks like we found Mr. Godfrey.
Having to look over. Dear Lord, you're right.
Mr. Guy? Is he dead?
Yeah, obviously. Gentlemen, we need to leave now. Help me with Julius. Let's get out of here and get as far away from this place as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go now.
Is it obvious that to me now that they're talking about the skulls that there's a skull there?
Right. Yeah. You're all seeing everything now.
Yeah. If nobody else grabs it, I want to go back over there and grab his skull.
Okay. Dr. Godfrey's skull?
Yes.
Okay. When you do that, you realize, you probably already realized this, but he obviously had some dental work. So if you needed to identify the skull, you could.
Oh, well then I better grab Lane's too, because if he snaps out of this, he's going to want to know that we got evidence of what happened to his family.
There is something about the skulls. They're clean as a whistle. There's no flesh whatsoever left on them. It's almost like they're polished, except that there's marks on the skull, as if something small has gnawed on them.
Like a mouse?
Maybe a little bigger than a mouse. Maybe a rat. Maybe something a little bigger than a rat.
It seems like all of this cleaning and gnawing has happened way too fast. A skeleton left in the wild shouldn't decomposed like this, and even
We
get
can
eaten
talk
away
about
that
it.
fast.
Let's go.
There must be hundreds of children's bones here.
Yeah, I grabbed the two skulls, and at this point, I'm pretty loaded down. I'm making my way back to the cave.
I'm great. I'm pulling Julius along with him struggling to get him out.
Okay. He is struggling.
No problem.
He thinks, well, you don't know what he thinks, but he's acting as if you're the ones who have, it's obviously he's been beaten and tortured, and
we're keeping the gag on him and we're getting him out.
Out of his mind. All right. Do a grapple roll.
Okay. Let's see what my grapple is here.
It's fighting brawl. It's just
Brawl.
Okay.
Sorry. Brawl.
Got it.
Grapple was in 6th edition.
Made it.
Okay. You're struggling with him, but you're managing to pull him forward and out of the cave. Because he's struggling, and maybe if the rest of you want to help, it takes you almost 5 minutes to get back to the base of the ladder, climbing up out of the trap door.
In that time, I reload also.
Okay. Getting him up the ladder is difficult. I would like you to once again, who's going to help Dr. Harlow?
Sam pulls in and gives a hand.
I'd like both of you to do a brawl, grapple. And as long as one of you makes it.
That was actually a fail.
Did you make it, Dr. Harlow?
Yes, I made it.
Okay. You managed to get him up that ladder. It's not easy. You're also a little afraid that if he gets onto his feet, he's just going to run because he's trying to get away from you. But you get him up and out of the hole, and you're in the barn. And what are you going to do from here?
Somebody go scout out ahead, make sure we're clear.
Yeah, I'll check the front door. Make sure there's nobody around.
Carefully.
You don't see anybody.
I'll take this robe off because it's hot and I don't want to be in it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll throw mine off too.
Okay.
Yes.
I imagine you throw them off. So what are you going to do? You're still in the barn, but you don't see anybody outside.
Okay, well let's head down to the vehicle. Yeah.
We need to get in the car and get the hell out of this town.
Ford, I think you're muted.
Let's do it now. We'll talk on the way home.
All right. So you managed to get back to the vehicle and load it up, get him in there. Excuse me, just 1 second. Sorry about that. You managed to get it back in the vehicle, and
Just to be clear, Tom, that was a cough, not an evil GM laugh.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, because I didn't do this.
Right.
All right. So you get back to your vehicle, and you're a little ways down that road, heading back into town. What do you guys do? Did you get all of your stuff from the Herrera Hotel?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just going down. We're avoiding the town as much as we can and getting the heck out of Dodge, or Castronegro in this case.
Well, you'll have to go through the town, but you can then turn and go back out of the town.
That's the idea.
Where are you going, sir? Back to Silver City?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the intention.
All right.
Along the way, we'll ungag when we're far away. From the town, we'll ungag Julius, and if he wants to yell and scream all the way, we'll let him do that and get it out of his system. But make sure he stays in the car.
As soon as you ungag him, he starts yelling and screaming. And you realize that he's out of his mind. Nothing that he says makes any sense. It's mostly just noise. Just, when words start to become comprehended, he's obviously afraid that you're going to hurt him. And when you try to convince him otherwise, he doesn't believe you. He thinks that you've set him up, that this whole thing was your idea, that his valet is behind it all, and that his valet has somehow set this up so that, to bump him off or whatever. And it's all just incomprehensible, insane nonsense that he's yelling.
Has anyone got a hip flask? We can fill him up with some liquor.
Yeah.
We force some drink in him.
All right. You have to force it, but after an hour, he starts to calm down. At least he becomes quiet. Maybe he's hoarse from yelling so much. You still have to restrain him, and you're kind of afraid that he'll just jump right out of the car. But now you have some time to discuss amongst yourselves what your next move is. You're on your way to Silver City, however.
Gentlemen, we need to get Julius to somebody who can look after him. He's lost his mind.
Yeah, I
think a hospital would be a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know if the hospital in Silver City can really do much for him there, but it's a start.
Quite honest, I don't know how much time I want to spend in Silver City, knowing that, with the boot prints outside the window and all that, it seems like these Castronegro folk are coming all the way down to, Lane's property down there. I don't think I want to really spend many time there.
I don't think it's a good idea. If we go to Silver City, we don't need to be anywhere where it's out in the open or places where they think we're going to be, like Lane's place. Mm-hmm. I think and in fact, if we could just push on through to maybe Las Cruces, it'll be a hard ride, but that we might stand a chance there.
We can also. On you go.
I was gonna say, I think our original tent was that we had camping gear. We were going to spend the night in the campsite. That's an option. I'm not saying it's a good option, but that is an option. If we want to avoid the towns altogether, we could find a little spot off the way.
That's a good point. Yeah.
True, but we got to watch Julius there. I don't think he's gonna. He's a flight risk.
The other thing is we have his contact for his valet back home, so we could try and get him checked into an asylum or something.
Indeed, we're going to have to do that, and maybe ask his valet to come out here so that he can take care of him, and let the valet know that that Julius is out of his mind and thinks that he's behind it.
Yep. Hasn't Julius been name dropping himself everywhere? So if someone's looking for him, and they start to check the hospitals, they're likely to find him. I say we turn him in somewhere, but give him a fake name, and only tell the valet where to find him.
Possibly.
I'm just worried those people, considering they're organized enough to keep all this crap going on in their little town, are going to be bright enough to go, okay, well, he was obviously out of his mind, and start looking for places that we could take him back to a hospital.
Exactly. And they're not going to be too happy that we've grabbed him.
No, they definitely they weren't amenable to outsiders at all.
No, and the farthest away we can get from Castronegro, the better. We have an option. It's going to be a tough option. There is an asylum in El Paso, but that's going to be about a almost 3-day trek out that way. But it's connected with the rails, so any of Lane's people we need to work with can get out there relatively easily.
Just throwing it out there, but if we really want to drop off the map, if we go west, my people's reservation is west over in Arizona. And truly no one's going to find us there. Maybe the medicine people could work with him.
That's not such a bad idea. And I'm sure we could find somewhere close by there where we can get a telephone to make arrangements with Lane's people, and we could we might be able to get out to Tucson. That's another potential. But maybe you got a point there. What do you guys think?
How long would that take us to get there to the reservation? It sounds like a good plan.
From what I recall, the Hopi Reservation is kind of central to the Navajo Reservation in northeast Arizona. So I don't know travel time for something like that way back then.
If I said 3 hours, would that be okay?
I wouldn't argue.
Okay, 3 hours.
I think that sounds like a good plan. Your folks over there could give him their medicine or whatever and keep him calm, and we could arrange stuff with his family or his valet.
Yeah.
And while we're at it, maybe your guys could shed some light on what might be happening over here in Castronegro and what we faced.
I doubt it, but we can always ask.
It's a shot, but right now I just want to make sure Julius is secure and out of here. What we do after this, we can work out along the way.
Well, I'll tell you, any white folk coming on the reservation will certainly stick out. We'd know if people are, that kind of are different. We're coming from quite a distance. My only suggestion is we stop and fill the car with groceries before we get there, because They don't get a lot of that stuff, and it'll be appreciated and make the welcome a little warmer.
Hey, I'm all for that, and I'm pretty sure I saw a little bit of cash left over from Julia's thing, and under circumstances, I don't think he'll mind us buying groceries as a tip off to your guys.
Sure.
All right. So you head into Silver City, and as you get there, you stop at a supermarket, I guess, and you fill up on food and whatever else to take to the Hopi reservation. Julius has become quiet. You think that his flight risk might be less, but he might be getting quiet because he's planning on jumping out of the car, but it doesn't happen. You have the 2 skulls with you, and you have the flute, yes?
Yeah, they'd probably be in the trunk at this point, yeah.
Okay. Unless there's something else you want to do in Silver City, we'll just say that you're heading towards the reservation.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Yes.
Yeah.
It all happens so quickly, but as I'm driving here thinking about this, 2 things come to mind. How are we going to explain what happened to Mr. Lane here? And second, I'm not so sure taking the skulls is going to help us.
It'll actually help us quite a bit, help me quite a bit, because now give me a chance to take them to the lab back in Albuquerque and prove that at least the ones could be that they could be who they're from, and I could take that data and give it to the PD there.
Doesn't that make us suspects then?
Yeah, it could incriminate us.
Not me.
No?
Not me. I'm part of the PD.
And I think we've led on to the police department also, haven't we? That we were looking for these individuals.
Yes, they know all too well that we're here looking for them. And if I come back with skulls, it would just be a matter to say, we found these, we think these belong to our missing guys. I'm going to test them and get you the results. And they'll go with me all the way on that. I guarantee you that.
Well, that's true, because we've really left a paper trail. We spoke to them in Albuquerque, we spoke to them in Silver City, and we spoke to the no-good lawman in Castronegro, who gave us no help at all. So
I wouldn't be messing with him if we could help it, because he's probably in on all this.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I think just let's get to the reservation, and when we're there and we got everything under better control, we can formulate a plan and where to go to from there. Take some time, think about it along the way, guys. We got some serious thought we got to put into this.
Okay. So you leave Silver City and you're heading west towards Arizona? Yeah, Arizona. Towards the reservation. And along the way, Julius begins babbling, and he says that music, that music, that music. And he just keeps talking about that music. When he does that, you guys can recall the sound of that flute, and it's still kind of maddening in your mind. That noise, that thing was playing that flute, and it kept being right on the edge of having meaning, but it didn't. And it just sort of obsesses your mind as you're driving in the car. You guys stop talking, unless you want to talk.
I'd just suggest to give him some more drink.
All right. He drinks it, and he gets a little calmer. 3 hours go by, and you're pulling into the reservation. You're getting some very strange looks by the Indians that are there, the American Indians that are there. The Native Americans, we'll call them, because that's PC. The Native Americans. All right. I have never actually been to an Indian reservation, so I really don't know what it would look like back in the 1920s. Let's just say it's rather primitive.
And I would think that it would be very very dry at that reservation.
Yeah.
Probably rolling hills, but not steep hills. You know, maybe a couple of bluffs, but yeah, pretty barren. It was not a very nice. It was not a very nice place. They were resettled.
Right.
Well, it's actually not far away from the main Hopi Mesa lands, which is where they're living. But where we're going to on the res, I would figure it's probably more of a shanty town sort of thing, with maybe some old original Pueblo buildings and maybe one or two quote unquote nice old West style buildings, but the rest are kind of like, you know, built up from bits and pieces and stuff. If we were going to the mesas, it would all be Pueblo buildings and stuff, but the mesas are more to the north and more like 2-3 days drive. But for where we're at now, you know, and for most of the towns outside the mesas would be more of the kind of the shanty town, centered around maybe what was like a house or an old outpost.
As you pull into town, as you get in there, something rather odd. Some of the Native Americans are. It's almost as if they're waiting for you as you come into town. It's almost as if they know your needs as you get there. Dr. Haston, do you speak their native language?
Yeah. I've spent plenty of time on the reservation. My score for it is 70, and I think in general what they say about a score that high is you're fairly fluent in the language.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they speak to you in what language would they be speaking then? Navajo or?
I think the Hopi have their own tongue. Yeah.
The Hopi language.
Hopi have their own general tongue.
They say to you that their medicine man, their shaman, had a vision that you guys were coming. And he needs to see the man who has lost his mind.
Is this one of the grandfathers? One of our elders? Yeah, I would be inclined to trust that kind of a situation.
Okay.
And ask for, you know, where that person is.
So you get some funny. The rest of you get some funny looks because you're white people, but people come out. They're happy to take the groceries, and they're fairly accommodating towards you as you get out, and welcoming. One of the grandfathers, one of the elders, comes out, and they want you to bring Julius into his lodge or whatever.
I'll also bring the flute.
Okay.
Are you guys okay with this?
When you get in there, he chants some prayers, and he tells you that this man has been exposed to something horrible, something that the ancients used to call like the demon, and that it would be a long time before he was completely back to normal again. But then they start to ask, and they see the flute, and he won't touch the flute. But he asks you what happened. How forthcoming are you with information?
Completely.
Okay. He listens very carefully. He doesn't seem skeptical at all. He tells you the tale of these Indians that lived there long before they did, and that they were into something very evil. They put up the standing stones, and that there are still standing stones in that area. Other places they've been torn down. But he basically, the consensus is that there is something very evil in that town. And you can try going to the authorities, but they won't believe you. He says, meanwhile, they're murdering children. So what are you going to do about it?
I take it the professor tells us what's
Oh,
been said.
Yes,
I
it
apologize.
does.
Yes, I'll relate that back. Yeah.
It's all going through.
So I ask, could you say to him, could these people help us in any way? Because I don't think we've got the tools for the job, you know?
None of them look up to that kind of a thing. They're poor. They're worn down. They're just trying to survive.
I ask him what he thinks of the thing that we encountered. You know, is there medicine to get rid of something like that? Because it looks more like it passed into a spirit realm, but it didn't really die. Like it could come back.
He can give you the magic that he knows, but he has no idea if it would be effective against such a creature. You seem to have driven it away, maybe temporarily, but from what you've told him, it doesn't seem any reason why you would need to go back to that place. That's definitely not the center of the evil.
What is the center of the evil?
Well, it would seem from what you've said to him, if you've indeed said everything to him, that it probably has something to do with this Spanish man that's in charge of the whole place. The man with the crosses on his boots.
You think he was one of the family?
Well, he doesn't know enough to answer that question. But
okay, but the man with the crosses on the boots, you believe that he is in charge of the evil?
Well, you said that there was somebody in charge of the whole town.
Mm-hmm.
So
Bernardo de Diaz, right?
He says, if you don't do anything about it, nobody will, and it'll just continue. Children will be killed.
That's horrible. However, that town is loaded to bear with guns and people that are very on edge. I don't know what the four of us could do about something like that. Oh.
Well, Hisney, it looks like you were right about going straight to his door and knocking the door down and saying, hello, here we are.
I mean, I see what the good doctor is saying here, but I don't know if we're prepared for this.
Gentlemen, I think our first task is to ensure that Julius returns home safely so that he can be institutionalized and cared for by people who know more about this than what we do. And we can't take care of him. The natives here can't take care of him. And he needs help. We need to make sure he's out of here, taken care of, and out of the picture so that he doesn't end up becoming the next sacrifice. Because I'm just under the impression these guys are going to do everything they can to find him and bring him back to that thing.
I'll ask, are they okay with us, staying here for a short time until we can get Julius's people to take him and keep him safe?
Yes, they don't mind. They've.
Is there a phone here?
They don't have much. No, there's no phone here. But you're welcome to stay. They don't have many accommodations. You probably won't be very comfortable. And thanks for the supplies that you did bring.
Well, if we leave town to go and to make a phone call, we could definitely load up on supplies again to bring back.
Okay.
There should be a couple sizable towns not too far away from here. Maybe even a place where we can get gas. If we can get gas, we might stand a chance of being able to chart a course to Tucson, and we can have a place where he can hit the train in Tucson and be well on his way back to the East Coast.
Yeah, I empty my money or pockets of any money that I have on me and give it to him and thank him for his help and and let him know that we need to be able to speak as a group and kind of dismiss ourselves, I guess.
Dr. Hisney, what do you think?
I was just going to type this in the chat, but I'm just going to say it out loud. I think I'm a 58-year-old professor of archaeology. I don't think it would be normal to go in on a vigilante manhunt for this guy. But yet, for the sake of the game, I'm ready to go in guns blazing and gas cans burning.
Yay!
So, I think that's going to be my suggestion is let's get some extra gas. Let's make sure we're loaded to bear. And let's go burn this bastard's house down to the ground.
Well, I say let's get Julius taken care of, then get back to Albuquerque, and maybe I can get some help.
Can you get dynamite?
I might be able to do that. And maybe some other things, too. I say if we're going to have to go in there and take care of it ourselves, let's get well prepared and maybe get some help. Maybe a couple. I bet I could wrangle a couple other people to give us a hand at least, if not more. And if I have enough evidence, I might even be able to get police help in on this.
But when we're clearly out of earshot, I say with all respect to the elder here, who definitely means well, the elders aren't always right. I mean, this could be something that we could get additional help for. It may not have to just be us.
But did you see all those children's bones? Really? You gonna let that slide?
No, I'm not saying let it slide, but I'm kind of there with Dr. Hisney that I'm not a man of war. I've never charged in a battle like that. Quite honest, I'm still shaking from what we shot at down in the hole.
I've been to war, and sometimes you have to go back to war for the right reasons, and this is the right reason.
Mr. Steele, what's your input?
I've got guns. I can punch hard. I think it makes sense if we can get some help, then good and well. If we can get a couple of people on our side to come and help, that's great. But I really don't think we should be traveling the world with Julius. I think
let's take care of Julius first. Let's get him taken care of. When that's done, then let's hightail it to Albuquerque and formulate the plans and see about getting help. We may even be able to get a full police force in on this if we play our cards right, and then that way we could take care of the issue officially. If we can't, then we know where we stand and we could take it from there.
If we can't, we've got all of Julius's guns, a fair bit of his money, and let's stock up and blow that town to hell.
All right. Yeah. Let me interject. First, want to answer what Jeff said. I would like you as characters to do whatever you think that you would actually do. But I'll caution you that if you decided to say fuck this and not do anything about it, you would have to live with that for the rest of your life. Every child that goes missing would be your fault.
That's what Harlow's thinking.
But maybe you're willing to do something like that.
I don't read the papers that often, you know.
Second, I would like you to realize that getting help might not be so easy. Yes, you might get some investigation going, but I don't think you're going to get help to blow somebody up.
That's plan B.
You're going to have to convince them. Absolutely convince them. So, what's your next move? Did you say Albuquerque?
Tucson first.
Tucson.
So that we can meet with Julius's people, and not just his valet, but others of his family as well. Encourage at least one or two of them, plus any other retainers that are trusted, to come out and pick him up.
Okay.
And I'm going to suggest that, and I'm going to highly suggest, if you got somebody who's a bodyguard, bring him along, because he's going to need it.
All right.
If that, and pretty much, that's what I'm going to do when I get to the nearest phone, is with Sam's contact information, try and convince him of this.
So let's gloss over some of this and let's see what would have happened. You take Julius to Tucson. The longer, first of all, when he tries to sleep, he wakes up screaming. And he goes through a period of this manic craziness for at least 15 or 20 minutes after he wakes up. But eventually he keeps calming down. And he does manage to explain to you that he left the library and he was going to go to the bar. And as he was walking, he saw something between two buildings, and it caught his eye, but it kind of got away from him. He went between the buildings to see what it was, and what he saw, and it makes him shiver, was a big dog, like a Rottweiler. Only the hair was black, and the eyes were green. And something hit him from behind. And the next thing he remembers is having a bag over his head and being beaten and dragged and thrown down somewhere. And this flute playing that drove him absolutely crazy. He listened to it hour after hour after hour, and it wouldn't stop. And he was gagged, and he doesn't really remember much after that, but sort of coming to in the car with you guys. That's about all you get out of him. You meet with his family. Some of his family actually fly out because they have money. And there are some inquiries. In fact, you're stuck for almost a week in Tucson with the family detaining you because they want to know if you had anything to do with this. And ultimately, you're released. You're just his friends, and obviously something happened. Do you guys talk about the incident to them? That he was tied up and a monster played a flute to him, or do you just sort of gloss over that? And
I play it off as he had some bad booze and ran out into the desert, had exposure, and was going crazy.
Okay.
There when we found him. And,
ultimately, ultimately that's accepted.
Yeah.
And they then take him back to Boston, and he's going to be institutionalized. So you head back to Albuquerque, and in Albuquerque, you are able to identify the bones as valid, as belonging to Dr. Gottfried and David Lane. So you're in Albuquerque. It's been about 10 days since you left Castronegro. What would you like to do?
Should we notify the university or the police authorities?
You've already
Yeah.
contacted. I mean, you've talked to the police, at least in the fact that you have found this body and that you found it in Castronegro. But I imagine that you're extremely reluctant to explain details.
I do want to have a sit down with my superiors in the police department and let them know what the situation is. Pretty much,
because the more you think about it, the crazier it sounds.
Well, here's the deal. I'm going to kind of lay it out as these are people who are, for some reason, kidnapping children and doing various nefarious things with them. I'm going to leave out the crazy elements like the thing and the flute and the piping and the altar and all that stuff. But we leave it as we found the whole area being xenophobic and against outsiders, and then describe us hunting for Julius and finding him in this this little hideout where there were skeletons and the bones and stuff and evidence that they were doing something. I'm going to kind of gloss over any sort of occult sort of thing, but saying I don't know what they're doing here, but they're obviously kidnapping children and doing something with them. Even if these are dead babies and stuff, they're still doing something very abhorrent here. Not to mention adding in the local cattle mutilations and other weird stuff that's going on that is weird enough to be believable, but the unbelievable stuff I'm going to kind of leave out.
Right.
There and show the evidence with the skulls, show the evidence that we brought with some of the artifacts and stuff, and just say something really weird and unusual is going on here, and this is going above and beyond.
Okay.
Just a bunch of weird xenophobic Hispanic people in the this is actually some kind of organized something, and they're up to something that's no good.
The
Killed 2 people plus all these babies.
Based on your reputation with them,
mm-hmm.
and the fact that you had the skulls, two things have happened. One is they've decided not to, of course, charge you.
Mm-hmm.
They believe in general your story without the details.
Mm-hmm.
They've decided that they're going to send 2 detectives into the town to corroborate the evidence that you've put there. The question is, and they're going. So the question is do you want to go with them or do you want to wait for them to bring back their findings?
We can't wait for them. They'll not be seen again.
All right.
Safety in numbers. I hate to say it, there's safety in numbers.
Well, they're not particularly interested in you being with the investigation that they're doing. They're not going to stop you from going back to the town, but they don't work with crowds.
Maybe it would be a good plan for us to kind of go in stealthy, let them go in and chap doors, knock on doors, and we go in stealthy behind them. And if they stir up a hornet's nest, you're ready to go in guns blazing.
So they're a diversion?
Yeah. That might not be a bad idea.
I like that.
They can keep occupied while we can gather more information and stuff. And
I mean, we don't want the guys to die, but we want them to go in first, and we can kind of go in ready to shoot. you know.
I like that. Also, let's see about what we can do to get any kind of evidence gathering, photos, or any other kind of stuff anyone of you guys can think of here. Because the more evidence we have, no matter how this goes down, if we have to convince the police department, the more we have, the better. They may be angry that we went in on our own, but truthfully, if we can convince them that something's going on, especially if something happens to the detectives, then we have more ground to stand on. If we can't flat out just take care of the business there, I say we prepare for anything going down there.
I mean, I think we could still adopt the previous plan. We could camp out in the forest, let the detectives go and check in the hotel. They're the visible target in investigation, and we can be coming in there, you know.
And they know the location of the barn and stuff there, so hopefully they'll see what's going on with the barn. And when they go that direction, we can keep eyes in case if something happens. Give them a little unseen backup.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. About, well, let's just say an even 2 weeks have gone by, and the detectives went ahead of you. They've probably arrived in town about 2 hours ahead of you. So when you're in Silver City, getting ready to leave Silver City and head up towards Castronegro, that's about the same time that they would have arrived in Castronegro. So what are your plans? What are you going to do? You mentioned a few things, camping, or what exactly are you going to do? Stay at the Herrera again, or?
Stay at another hotel that we haven't been pegged at.
There is no other hotel there.
Okay.
I think we want to be incognito, do we not? We don't
yeah,
really
camping.
want to be seen. Yeah. Camping.
Before we head down, want to make sure we can get our hands on it, anything we might need, like dynamite. I hate to say it, but we may need that, as well as further weapons or stuff to protect us, as well as portable cameras and other evidence gathering devices while we're at it, so that not only are we gathering evidence, but we have enough to light the town on fire if we have to.
Okay.
I'm not going to be much help there. If Indians going around asking for dynamite, not going to get a warm welcome anywhere. So I won't be of much help to that.
So let's assume then that you've got yourself a few sticks of dynamite, and you've got your firearms, and were you going to bring some sort of flammable substance?
Yes.
Say kerosene?
Get some kerosene, yes.
Okay. All of those things, except for the dynamite, would seem rather normal for campers.
Well,
right.
We kind of, go to the store and kind of get the dynamite on the... I mean, we could still openly get dynamite, but...
you can probably get that back in Albuquerque as well.
Yeah.
So that it's not...
Yeah. That's probably what we'll do.
You might have to get a permit for that.
That's fine.
But anyways, all those things are taken care of. All right. So you've got your supplies. How close to Castronegro are you going to camp? And what are you going to do with your car?
What we did last time, find a good place to put it where we can book out, but kind of camouflage it nearby our camp. And I'd say about 2 miles away.
Okay.
How far away are the caves?
The caves are 20 miles back down the road. So
yeah,
the road's about 40 miles long. About halfway is where the caves are.
Okay, sorry.
All right. Well, let's just say this. Say Castronegro's in the center. Are you going to camp north, south, east, or west of the town? The barn was south. The Bernardo de Diaz is to the north. And there's farms farther out, but
is the only main road in a town coming from the south from Silver City, or was there also
correct.
one that left east?
No, there's only one going up into Castronegro. And there's a bus that rides on it Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Tuesday, Wednesday.
I'd be inclined to make sure we got at least an hour walk in. I don't think we should be anywhere near town.
Mm-hmm.
People could be wandering or easily spot us coming and going.
Okay.
Yeah. Stay out of the town proper, but be in the surrounding area.
Okay. So north, south, east, or west? North, south, east, or west?
South, so we don't have to go into the town to get to one of the other sides.
Yeah,
All right.
south, southwest, or southeast, rather.
Okay. All right. So you find a place to stash your car, and you hike in. It's hilly, and the woods get rather thick quickly. And after, you say, about an hour, so you hike in, you find an area where you can set up a little camp. Now, by your reckoning, the shepherd's barn should be like a little bit to the east of where you are, probably another 20 minutes walk in that direction, just as a guess. So you're closer to the barn, but farther away from the town. Maybe half an hour's walk from where you are. And it's through the woods.
I want to go scout out a high point where we can see much of the area as possible. If we have to, if we maybe even climb a tree to get a good vantage point, so we can see, through binoculars, maybe see the streets in the town and various areas and stuff, so it can maybe catch the investigators and stuff and keep an eye on them.
I seem to remember when we went to the barn that there was a trail going off up into the hills.
That's correct.
Which we didn't explore. So maybe if we can kind of try and get to that direction, because there was talk of standing stones up on the hillside as well. So maybe we could get a view, if that's a high point, a view, find out where the standing stones are. Maybe we can see down towards the barn and then to the town. What do you think? Does that sound okay?
Sounds like an idea.
Sounds good to me.
Professor Harlow, I'm just a little confused. Are you starting with the intent of investigating this further?
We need more, and we need to keep an eye on the investigators, make sure that they're not being molested. And otherwise, if we can pick up information here and there, all the better. Because if we have to, we may have to go back and ask for more assistance, or give them an idea of what happened to the investigators if they do something to the investigators.
Okay.
And if we want to, we really want to take care of this through official channels, we need to have information. The more information we have, the more inclined they'll be to support us. I mean, it's not like they're going to take our, our mad rantings and call in the military, and send planes over the site.
Well, I'm thinking of two different things here. One, if we were going to use them as a diversion and they are overpowered or decide just to leave and they found nothing, that window of opportunity could be short. The other thing is if they do end up being murdered or otherwise waylaid and not checking in at their home office, is it, are they just going to send even more people up here after this, the messaging that you had, and then two investigators also go missing?
They might. If these guys go missing, they will send more people. But at the same time, how much more? I mean, they may send a group of 6 officers here, and even then, they may not be able to handle the situation if these guys are preparing. So, I mean, hypothetically,
I'm inclined to think maybe we go in tonight under the cover of dark. and take advantage of the fact that they're there now, and potentially people are paying attention to them and not worried so much about us at this point.
Maybe just one or two of us, and it's not like a whole group of us going in. But yeah, it might be a good idea to make contact. If a couple of us want to go in and make contact, make sure the guys are all right, and maybe you could arrange a meet point somewhere, you know, passing a message on or something like that.
Well, we know they'd probably be staying in the only hotel, right?
Yeah.
And Juan, I think, was the only one friendly to us. So we have a contact there if we need him.
Yep.
But are you sure you can trust him?
No, but no, he's only possibility though.
I mean, he's got to live there. You know, that's his home, and you know, is he going to turn against the people he needs to live next to and make his livelihood from? I don't think he's likely to turn against him. I think we were just lucky enough to not be hated by him.
Because I'll be honest with you, there's another scenario that's playing through my mind that I'm worried about, in that it's been several days. What I think you said 10 days to
2 weeks.
2 weeks. There's a good chance they might have cleared that barn out.
There is a good chance.
So
then again, another reason why we need to take more information, because if they clean up that barn and to get more information. I mean, if we don't stop it ourselves, we need to get the resources to have it stopped.
Okay, let's So what are we doing right now? We're going to send 2 guys in to make contact with the 2 detectives.
Scope out things too. Yeah.
So 2 of you are going to go into the town. What are the other 2 going to do?
Keep
you
an eye
said
on
something
things.
About a trail.
Yeah. Let's go up the trail first and scope out the area with the standing stone, the potential standing stone area.
By the way, right now it's about 11 in the morning.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's find a vantage point.
Yeah.
Let's start by finding a vantage point and getting an idea of what's going on around us.
All right. So you're going to try to find that trail, yes?
Yeah.
So in the general direction that you think the barn is, you start making your way through the woods. And the woods are kind of difficult. They're not too bad because it's a desert forest, so it's mostly dry. And as you make your way forward, I'd like you all to do spot hiddens. It's just mainly to see who sees it first.
No.
Pass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fail.
Okay. So Sam's walking along. Sam's observing. Sam's got his detective mode on. His eyes are wide open. And as you guys are going along through the trees, you know that you're coming down into that little valley where the barn is. And you start to see through the trees. And what you can see is sort of, first it's like a black shadow. But a couple steps forward and you realize that the barn is now just a black pile of rubble. Looks like it burnt to the ground. And as you go a few more feet through the woods, the rest of you can see this. And it's been completely destroyed. Looks like it was probably completely destroyed over a week ago.
Harlow, did you also tell them about the weird ground that we saw in the tomb north of town?
I did, but I took it off more as the ground was dead, like somebody threw in
Salt.
an odd way through salt or weed eater out there, some chemical. Messing around with chemicals. That's how I told them about the situation.
Once again to a spot hidden. You're now about 100 feet away from where the barn used to be.
I got to pass that time.
Pass.
Pass.
Oh.
Pass.
As you've all passed, that's excellent. As you guys are staring at the barn, you find bits and pieces of charred wood around your feet. And you begin to realize that the barn didn't just burn. Somebody blew it up. Probably with dynamite. You also notice that it definitely, there's a dip to it. So the whole cave and everything underneath has probably been caved in.
Why does this not surprise me?
Or
They're covering their tracks.
Or Tom is two-timing us, and he's had another group of investigators come in, blow the place up while we were off for 2 weeks having a holiday.
I like that. Metagaming at metagame.
It's all right here in the instructions.
That's right, laddie.
But you do see the trail going up into the woods.
I'm actually surprised, I just say to the professors, I'm surprised that this has obviously been something that's been going on in the town for ages, I'm not surprised that they tried to hide it, but I'm surprised that they've kind of destroyed it. So it kind of suggests that the barn was not the main thing,
Probably not, but they're also covering their tracks here too. It could be many of these little sites like this barn.
Yeah. So shall we follow this trail up the hill?
Oh,
Yes.
God, I hope there's not another one of those slug things.
Sam,
Not either.
I don't know if I could take seeing another one of them damn things.
Sam's loading up the pistols, the shotgun.
Did you bring the flute with you by any chance, Mr.
It's in the
Aston?
trunk.
Okay.
I don't have it with me right now.
Okay.
From what I understood, it was pretty big, so I didn't think it would be like easily stuck just in a knapsack or something to walk around with.
But it would be nice to have some music as we go our walk.
I'll play you a tune when we get back to camp.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, let's go.
Carefully and quietly.
As you begin to make your way onto this trail, of course, the same thing about the plants being twisted and distorted and kind of dead right near the trail. It winds into the woods and heads kind of upward towards a hill, which is kind of what you were looking for. But the trees are fairly tall at this spot. And as you make your way along this trail, you notice once again there's something up ahead. You come into a clearing. There's a tall, maybe 10-foot high stone. Looks black. There's rocks there's little stones around it with flat stones on top. And you all feel really uneasy. You can all do power rolls.
Does Sam kind of have a recollection of something from before with his dream?
Well, it was different in your dream, but your mind was making stuff up. This definitely seems more real.
I failed with a 98.
I also rolled a 98.
Okay.
Passed.
Those of you who failed, you feel extremely uneasy. There is something really wrong here. And you also notice that there are no sounds. There are no insects. There are no birds. The wind doesn't even seem to be blowing here. Those of you who passed, you're like, hey, what a great campsite. No, you're not. You still feel freaked out.
Good grief, look at that stone. It's like it stands out unnaturally in the glen there.
Yeah, I think we're kind of like out and open here. I really don't think we should be up here. Maybe we should go back down the hill, maybe back towards the car. It's probably about lunchtime, isn't it?
Now, you can't see anything in any direction except the stone.
Sam's
Yeah, I'm still thinking we're way too out in the open.
And you're about 20 feet away from it.
Sam takes out both pistols and he's in high alert, having a look about, see if anybody's watching or whatever.
Doesn't look like there's anybody anywhere around.
If Sam draws pistols, I suddenly pull the shotgun up. Take the safety off.
Pulling out camera, little portable brownie camera and starting to take photos.
Okay.
Sam poses for him.
Do you guys go near it?
Yeah, why not?
Hell no.
In for a dime, in for a dollar, let's go.
Carefully.
All right. As you go near it, I would like you to do a luck roll.
Tom, I did stay kind of by a tree line.
Okay.
I did not want to walk into the open, flat part of that clearing.
Same here, and the luck roll. Luck roll is good.
I passed.
Fail.
Okay. Oh, Jeff, you failed. Excellent.
You're still presenting too, by the way.
Yeah, just for the atmosphere, but
yeah.
What you couldn't see was me going. As you guys step forward, you get more nervous with each step. And as you go, Dr. Hisney, you take a step and you hear a metallic sort of click. And just as you hear that, something chomps down on your left foot. And you scream.
I've been bit.
It's a bear trap.
Oh.
Nasty.
So you scream and you fall on the ground and your foot is caught in a bear trap. Take 1d4 damage. And you're like, oh, shit.
3 points. Good. I was going to say 1 point just doesn't seem right for a bear trap. 3 seems more right.
That was a mouse trap.
You try you immediately try very hard not to yell, but you did yelp when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
So you're there on the ground. What are the rest of you going to do?
I jump down, put the guns down, and try and unhinge the thing off him.
Okay. How bear traps work is fairly simple. So with some strength, do a strength roll. Why not?
Oh, don't fail. Slip and snapshot on a second time.
A fantastic success.
Okay. Yeah, you managed to push it open and relock it. So you get his foot out. Dr. Hisney, I need you to reduce your dex roll from now on by half.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And you're going to be limping, so it's gonna be a little difficult. do you guys proceed?
I'll make sure he go over and maybe do a little first aid on him there in case he's like bleeding profusely. Although unless
No.
it's a spiked bear trap,
It's not the spiked.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
just,
then he's going to be bruised up pretty bad.
Okay.
Okay, just make sure that it's no broken skin. If there's bleeding, try and staunch the bleeding.
Okay.
But otherwise,
you all notice, of course, that the foliage is damaged all the way around from where you're standing. Like the barn. But you also notice that there are other traps set around. But now that you know there are traps, you can avoid them fairly easily. Just stick to solid ground and don't go walking through the bushes. As you get closer to this thing, the ground is kind of sandy. It looks definitely like there are these little altars, if you will, around them, around this central stone. That there are stains on them, brown stains. What would you guys like to do?
continue to photograph while I'm keeping a sharp eye out for anyone who may be coming up.
Okay.
I think Sam's making a connection. The rotting vegetation or twisted vegetation. There was the tomb. There was the barn. I'm guessing that there's maybe something underneath. If there's something in the ground or underneath the ground. So I'm going to have a look around the stones to see if there's any kind of gaps. Is there any kind of maybe caves or fissures or something underground?
As you're looking around, go ahead and do a spot hidden for me.
Success.
Okay. You notice all around this obelisk, there are once again footprints, lots of them. The same kind, some very human, some odd, and some boot prints. You see once again that cross-shaped heel. But as you're standing there, you look down and you notice that there's something in the sand. Looks like it's buried, mostly buried. It's just barely sticking out, but the color of it looks a little odd.
Poke around with a stick or something like that, shift it about.
Okay. There seems to be something small and made out of stone buried there. As you dig it out, you realize that it's one of those little statues that you saw in town.
I draw the professor's attention to it. Is it just one? As I'm digging about, is it just the one that's there?
You dig around a little bit more, you realize there are 3 that have been buried right near each other. You don't find any more than that. Everybody else do spot hiddens, except maybe Hisney, because I think you're nursing your ankle and you're you're more like, I want to go back. I knew we should have never left Albuquerque.
Oh no, I'm full on revenge mode now.
Well, I'm still sitting by the edge of the circle, but I rolled a 58. Yeah, which is a fail for me.
Okay. That's a fail for you? Okay, and for it also fail? All right. Dr. Hisney, go ahead and do a spot hidden. Just you're sitting there now, but nursing your ankle.
What are you guys looking at? Is this what you're trying to find?
Pass?
Yeah, 44.
you brush some dirt away from the ground, and you realize that what you found is a pocket watch.
Still work?
Well, it's scratched up. It looks like it might still work. And on the outside of it are the initials DL. Looks like a nice watch, a fancy one, but expensive.
So, sorry, just to clarify, you said it looks like it might work, so we're just not working right now.
Well, it's wound down, but yeah, it looks time though. Yeah, it looks like it still works.
Okay.
The time that's on it is like 7:15. So that's when it stopped running.
Oh, okay.
Does it have a calendar date on it?
No.
You guys thinking the same thing I'm thinking? DL's David Lane?
Yep.
Yep.
Sure.
Looks like this is where he met his end.
So we should all be definitely on high alert right here.
We're going to need to make contact with the investigators and bring them up here. Try and do it on the low too.
I'll hand the watch to you since you have the authority.
All right.
Why don't we set off a couple of these bear traps with sticks and use them, take them with us, and we can set our own traps if we're going to set up camp?
That's a great idea.
Yes, but if somebody comes up here to check them, they might get suspicious.
I still think we could steal one or two. As long as Hisney doesn't go out to take a leak and get his other.
Just tell me where you put them, and then we'll be fine.
All right. Maybe one or two.
All right. Everybody do one more spot hidden roll just before you leave.
Pass.
Pass.
Hard pass.
Fail.
Okay. Sam, as you're kicking around now in the dirt and looking, you'll also find a pair of spectacles that looks like Dr. Godfrey's spectacles, the ones that he used to wear. The obelisk itself, when you look at it, makes you feel very uneasy just to look at it. There are little pictograms all over it, but they make you feel very uneasy when you look at them. So what's your next move?
Say, Harlow, you might want to take some photographs close up of this stone. There's some weird designs on them.
Yeah, and take photographs with us with the glasses and the watch here at the site. And
Sam, did you dig those idols out?
Yeah, look.
I'll take pictures of those too.
Do they really look very consistently the same, or
Yes.
does they don't each look a little different from each other?
Oh, they look a little different from one another, but they look like the ones that you've seen in the shop.
They're different because they're hand carved or hand created.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So, professors, what do you think these are? Are they a talisman of protection, or is it like an offering to something?
I'm worried that they had something to do with the boy and Godfrey and Lane being killed potentially here.
Well, considering there's a supply of them, that might be some kind of I'd hazard a guess, because from my little knowledge I have, but it could be some kind of component to something, to a ritual. Since there's multiple statues and such, and that they're, and it might not also, and it might also be that they're not intrinsically worth anything except for the rituals. That's why they were willing to sell them.
So do you think I should leave these ones here or bring them? Does it matter?
They've already seen the ones that Lane got that we brought with us.
Yeah.
So we have a record of these statues.
If you really need to look at one close, I've still got the one I've been carrying around in my bag, too.
Okay. I just throw them back in the sand then and pat them down.
Okay.
I'm ready to move on if you guys are.
Where are you going next? Are you going back to your camp? Or what?
I think we headed up here to see if we could see a vantage of the town. Did we?
Yeah, you can't.
Find a vantage point.
Okay.
There doesn't seem to be one. The trees are too big.
Okay. Were there any areas or other areas around the town that we could get a potential vantage?
The church tower.
Oh yeah.
You know, because of the woods on the hills. I mean, there's some hills that are taller than the town where theoretically you could look down on the town, but you'd have to get up there somehow and then climb up in the tree and look down. The trees don't look that easy to climb. They're pretty much poles. You know, there's no branches or anything this low down.
And we didn't bring it. None of us are lumberjacks, so we don't know how to climb them with gaps.
Right. But, you know, maybe you could find something. You'll have to wander around for hours to see if you can find something.
Well, you guys willing to look around, maybe see if we can run into some more standing stones along the way?
I think it might just be more of the same. This might be a little bit Boy Scout, but I'm wondering if this is a key point. We've just found the professor's glasses. We've just found David Lane's watch, right? Could we maybe make somewhere, just cut down some of the foliage or branches and try and make somewhere that we could maybe come back to and duck in if there's something going on later on?
That's not a bad idea. Also, maybe when we do run out to the car, maybe bring some kerosene with us. Because what I'm thinking is if we're going to hit them where it hurts, this is a prime location.
Well, why don't we stash some kerosene? Why don't we cut down some branches and just kind of set up a little hideaway and put some stuff here for later if we're back up here later on at some point?
That sounds good. And then if we can, try and get the investigators to come up this way to have a look for themselves. Show them that, you know, we're finding some evidence that they're up to some kind of weird stuff. And then hopefully before we have to blow this thing up, because I'm thinking we blow this thing up, hit them hard. They've already got 2 of our people, more or less.
Yep.
Not to mention all the children.
Time to get some vengeance.
I agree.
So would your next spot be to go back to camp and prepare all this, or?
Yeah.
Right. If we can't do it with what we've got, yeah.
Well, then that's kind of where we'll leave it then. So we'll say you go back to camp just to plan what you're going to do next, and that's where we'll pick it up next week. Does that sound good?
Yep.
All right. I think you guys did really good. Before we finish, I'd like to mention something. One of our players, Vasil Kizhnyak, who is from the Ukraine, sent me a postcard. That's what it looks like. I don't know if you can see that really well. It is of the Zoloty Vorota, which is the Golden Gate. It was the gate that led into Kiev. It was originally, it's about 1,000 years old. It eventually fell down, but they've rebuilt it. And the card itself is kind of beat up. I mean, it traveled 6,280 miles to get here, but that's pretty amazing. I like getting stuff like that.
That's awesome.
It's really
Awesome.
cool. And how long did it take? All here it's like Merry Christmas. So I think it took quite a while to get here from there. So let's see. Our players. Where is my thing? Our players included Ken Trench, Jeff Wilkins, Ford Fitch, and Fred Carter, with yours truly as a keeper of the secrets. Yesterday, I posted a video asking for support, and we got a lot of responses. We have new patrons. One of our own players, Lauren Eason, has pledged $15 a month. We also have Luke Openshaw and Gilbert, with no last name, who pledged $3. In addition, we have 3 of our current patrons who have increased their pledges. Andrew Ostman has increased his pledge from $5 to $10. Gregory Larson went from 5 to 7, and Edward Elliott has increased his pledge from 3 to 5. Guys, thank you so much. We couldn't have done it without you.
Thanks, everybody.
Well done.
If you'd like to become a patron, visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month will help us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch that bell icon for updates on our latest episodes. And leave us some comments. We love hearing from you. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.